think we'll ever know.
So you spend all your time creating it.
We're looking at who?
You're trying to find yourself back. I don't know, where's the remote?
So it's not like an apple.
You can find yourself back.
Where you've got to plant the apple.
Yep.
There's
Got a few people here. Alex,
and
Ian.
Ian, in the remote
Control
behind
C
you.
and
We're being
yeah.
What's behind me?
Remote.
Oh, they're dranks. Oh my god, that's hilarious. But also really wrong.
Oh, okay, maybe. Is the volume too high or something?
No, he wanted to go back to transhumanism.
Drunk skates or something like that.
It is. But it's okay, because they're calling themselves dranks.
What are we on?
We're on Periscope.
Ourselves.
Hey, how's it going? Luminescence 1, 2, 3.
That's not us, that's a car.
So we're doing Periscope Inception here. It's some guy in a car.
So should I be
But
changing
we're
this?
actually in a house. But we're also in a car.
That's the volume. That's the menu.
Go back. We gotta find.
We've got to find us then.
Nah, that looks like an interesting
So
photo up there.
where do we want to go?
Oh, to this one, to Peter. But I don't know.
No, that's not this one. We're on menu. We're on play. I can't see any arrows.
But yeah, so it looks like you can get a preview of the slide Kurzweil, Ray Kurzweil's law of accelerating returns. Here we go. Got accelerating pace of change, agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, the light bulb, moon landing, World Wide Web. Whoa, human genome sequence. Yeah, so this is an interesting graph. We could talk about this, but maybe we should talk about it when Peter comes back, because yeah, wow, my laptop is really like camouflaged on his seat. I will lift it up.
Kurzweil as highly as other people.
I don't. His predictions are off.
Yeah. I think it's also hard to predict.
Yeah, and in addition to that, he takes too many pills. Yeah, he takes heaps of supplements, and to be honest, he's not succeeding in. Hey, how's it going? Good. Periscoping. We're live on the internet.
The internet.
Hello to those on the internet and those who've downloaded it on VHS.
Betamax.
Download on VHS, doesn't make sense.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, but you download it first, and then you
No, you download it on VHS.
You can store it as
Feel free to use this room as well. Just sit on the beds because we'll have a little bit more comfortable.
Because we're heading 20 supposedly.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know.
I don't think 20 will. Like 20 people always say they go. Yeah.
Discounted by 30%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I scoured TV by
So, have you done some Periscope thing before? Yeah, well, we did it at a couple of the events. I think it's a lot better when you're interacting with the crowd. Yeah, doing it.
At Peter's birthday.
Yeah. Woo, that's right. I'm finding it a little bit
You don't like it?
I can imagine using this thing, but we've already got a critical mass of like people here for a conversation. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you need to be like all talking about the same thing in one crowd.
Yeah, so I actually find for meetings, I think it's probably better to do Google Hangouts because it's easier to find. But
Oh no!
That's right. Oh, if you guys can find the link on Twitter, can you retweet it there? So it's what? Twitter? So it's on Transhumanism AU.
Transhumanism AU.
And it's the latest.
I think you need like a better title. You've only got 7 people.
I know, we need like hot Asian chicks in Sydney
Where
or
are all
something.
the, where are all the chicks?
Where are all the
Where are all the
chicks? There are no chicks.
Where are all the transhumanist chicks?
Hello from Sweden, apparently. Say hi to people from Sweden.
Hi, Sweden.
how do you say hello in Swedish? I don't know. I'm like 1/8 Swedish, so hello Sweden. my genes say, yeah, that's my surname, Jansson. It's a derivation of Johansson.
I know another Jansson. Oh, you're Jansson.
Yeah, so I'm a dodgy Swede.
Cousin or something.
So so like I'm supposed to be Johansson.
Right.
But my grandfather thought it sounded too foreign, so he changed it to Jansson.
Jansson's way more Aussie.
Yeah, heaps more. Back then, I don't think it was that much more Aussie. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm meant to be 1/16th Russian, but I've got to do a 23andMe DNA test to find
You
out.
haven't done 123.
No, I'm gonna do it. I'm trying to bulk order so that it's like 20% off of every second order. So if you guys want to do it as well.
Yeah, I've already done it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So necessarily don't want my DNA to be on my...
Yeah, do you want to see my ancestry?
I'm a bit worried about
Alright.
When did you do it?
Before the FDA blocked
But
it.
eventually you might
So I have all the medical stuff.
Yeah, so you have a lot more results.
Exactly.
Than you did today.
Oh, silly Bluetooth keyboards. I have to change this laptop. It's no good.
Do you want me to
Yeah. Just don't Periscope my password.
You should have a, that should be a, I don't know about that in Australia.
Guys, we're losing viewers.
We're losing viewers. Jeez, I wonder why.
It's because you guys are talking.
Which letters they use in the title? How many letters? How many different types of letters are used in the title? Oh, it's a gene thing. Yeah! And you think you have the biohackers with those. That's pretty good. I'm totally like, what the fuck? That's a really clever title. It's not cool.
Our meeting is about transhumanism. What's the title
Can you
of your meeting?
Sydney.
Oh, no. I don't want to be on the camera. It's getting so hot.
Yeah, it's because it went to your face.
I know, it's terrible.
I'm just using my hand.
Yeah.
Why is your hand blocking
We're
the screen?
losing viewers.
We're losing viewers.
Oh, 3.
That's right, the whole point of this is to record it and to upload it. Have you done, so you haven't done it yet?
Where have you joined from?
I'm trying to do a bulk order.
Yeah. I say just do it. Don't wait for things.
Yeah, 223. But Meow Ludo said you could do it for like better at his lab.
You can get more results
Yeah.
at the bar boundaries.
Does he?
Yeah, you can learn more.
Oh. So 23andMe has limited results, but they have a pretty good chip.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you need to upload it not to 23andMe, but there's another site called SNP, and it does a full analysis on all the available genes, and they have up-to-date, like, latest, academic journals and stuff like that. So all of them have a common format for referencing their genes. So yeah, it's pretty. It's
What's the site?
I know, like,
SNP.
1/16 Russian or not.
SNP, like single nucleotide polymerase. Pedia. Yeah.
It's the
SNP.
abbreviation.
Yeah. Let's see. So.
Hey, if you find this Twitter handle, Transhumanism AU,
Can I put this on camera?
If they've got long
Oh yeah. I'll go on Twitter. You can send it to me. Let's.
So we're looking at the future party Twitter
you guys
feed.
find this
No, actually, that's my personal.
Twitter handles.
It still says.
Twitter.
What is it? Transhumanism AU. Right? Does it auto post?
472 tweets. Yeah, these are.
Yeah, I don't use Twitter. I'm pretty lame.
He's my bot.
Your bot.
Yeah. Anything that he posts.
Retweets.
Well, I don't keep it up to date.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's article?
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of time to deal with Twitter. It's badly organized. So like, we go in, these ones are okay, but like every so often,
It's like categorized. So I don't know if there's a way through Twitter where like you can search just your Twitter feed by like category if you use those hashtags. I don't know if you can do that.
You can do it, but like people don't use hashtags enough. So like I can do North Sydney votes, which was the let's see. North Sydney votes. Everyone on the internet can see how bad of a typer I am.
Is that meant to be God on your t-shirt?
It's South Park God.
I just got me too.
Yeah.
Well, it's South Park God, but it's God on Facebook.
Yeah,
Facebook.
Considering you have this one,
So this is one where he's angry, he's going to smite you.
Oh, okay.
it shouldn't really be working.
I see the angry.
But I've got another copy of
That's
it.
an
But
error.
that's why I find it hard to choose what to get. All the ones that I used to like, the Samsung ones, are now doing what Apple's done.
Zimmerman looks to the future. Wow, look at him. Anyway, so this is like all people who are in my feed and like who mentioned the North Sydney votes.
Yeah.
So you can search for that. I guess, can you search for your own feed?
I'll just.
I don't know if there's a way you can filter it through Twitter, but I'm sure there's like apps.
So this is the thing, I want to have an open source like social media where it's like you don't have to ask Twitter for that functionality. You just program it yourself. It's on your own computer. You'll just be able to search
So
it.
it's my.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be hard to do it though.
It's kind of like using something through.
And I just looked at the right time.
It's a $40,000.
Yeah, so I think
about this. So
But they need to.
did the research,
Need a
took my
tool
time.
or
Yeah,
Twitter
I
into a flat file. So like
oh yeah.
you can do an analysis.
So but there is a Twitter API, but they're pretty annoying about it. Like, in the old days, they used to allow anything, and now their API is really locked down, which makes it kind of like, what they got here? It's only the nerds who are left who are looking at this stuff. So like, yeah, you've got API rate limiting and blah blah blah. It's not really good. But you can pull a lot of stuff using the REST API. So like you can get your friendships and followers, and, yeah, who you're blocking. Yeah, it's alright actually, but they actually they stopped people from backing up. There was a Twitter system which would follow politicians and like save their dodgy tweets. Like so that even if they delete them, they can say, yeah, you actually supported this group and it turned out to be a terrorist group, you know, or something like that. And like Twitter blocked them from doing that because I think enough people in high places were like, stop doing that, it's embarrassing. So like you can't do that anymore. It's not invasion of privacy, it's public.
Well, it's like you're giving them a choice to delete their tweet, but then you've taken like vacation.
But like,
I guess it's like, it's not really invasion of privacy, I guess it's just, you're not giving them the freedom to be able to
yeah, but like, I think that period of being able to be forgotten for what you do is over, right? Now, the question is, like, what we do from now on. So one of the things that a lot of the younger members of our party is like, yeah, hand. A lot of the younger members of the party, they're worried that, you know, everyone who's like below the age of 25 has sent a nudie pic. So, yeah, we're talking about nudie pics. like it. You do the little likey thing in the corner there.
give us hearts.
Yeah, give us hearts on this side. Yeah. Anyway, talking about nudie pics, and there's a female on screen. Finally.
Oh, we got an extra viewer.
So
Hi, Max.
they say like we're worried about like what I've said on the internet and all that kind of stuff. But I'm gonna say to them like that period where people have never said anything dumb is over, right? Like everything said something that's stupid. And like the question is how stupid is it and whether you still agree with it, right? So if you say, yeah, when I was 18 I said something that was racist and I regret it. Like you're allowed to say that. Like, you're allowed to say, I regret what I did.
Yeah.
And that is what's most important.
So you don't deny that you've done something, you just accept that you made a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, because that's the new age. Like, every single thing that we're saying and doing is being recorded. Like, whether we like it or not.
Now.
So, yeah, like the primary form of communication for young people is social media. And when we first started on Facebook, it was like you're posting on each other's walls. And we had no idea that Facebook would later, 3 years down the track, make all that public.
Yeah.
But they did it. So, like, if you go back to my old Facebook, there's a lot of really stupid conversations.
Yeah.
That period when we had privacy is over. So,
you know, I think the way that people are using Facebook has changed. Because I think previously we were posting on people's walls and having conversations, but now we're just sharing media through Facebook primarily. Or at least like between my cohort and age group. Like it may be different between like people below 20 these days and whether they even use Facebook anymore.
Yeah, a lot of the young people don't use Facebook.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they're not using Facebook, they're using things like Snapchat because they have this belief that it's going to be deleted. But it's not being deleted.
It's so naive.
It's not being deleted. And like, they admitted it's not being deleted. The CIA is saying that they're not allowed to delete it. Like,
can you imagine the trove of data that they have?
yeah, all the filthy, rotten secrets of everyone. All the disgusting nudie pics.
I'm giving this back to Pete. It's tiring. Hello. I'm giving this back to you.
Oh, you done? Okay, this one. I'm just saying, why am I monogamous?
What?
Because... No, this is a real question.
Oh,
exactly.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
I am monogamous.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, you got two viewers. There's the answer. Yeah, Siobhan. Even out. Yeah, that's right. You can't. Oh, mate. I don't know if the crowd wants to ask any questions or anything like that. This is Periscope, mate.
So who am I talking to?
You're talking to two people on Periscope. Anyone got any questions for Shimon over here? No. Tap on the screen. Oh yeah, they don't speak out. They just write comments. Yeah, up here. And if they liked what they see, they punch some hearts in the right corner over here.
That's so weird.
Clearly not liking what they see, mate. What's going on?
It's just like that old thing, where they used to just see guys jerking off.
Yeah. What's it called? Chat roulette. It's the better version of chat roulette, apparently. Hello. How do you spell that thing? There was a successor to chat roulette that actually got around that problem, and the way they did it was that if you got banned for being one of those masturbators, because that happened. This is on another one that's not called chat roulette. So if you were one of those people that masturbated and got banned, then you could get unbanned if you dobbed in 1,000. Genius! 1,000 other masturbators. That's right. Yeah. It's like instead of going doubling, it's just going from 1,000 to 1,000,000. So like one doubling is just the rest of the world. Really easy solution. It's just like, social shaming, that'll work. Shame. There you go. Punishment, shame and 1,000. I'm not saying it's a good solution. But the thing is that it worked. So how many people got unbanned?
It's a pyramid scheme.
It is. It's a network marketing thing, right?
Network anti-marketing.
And network anti.
Could it be one giant big circle jerk of unbanning?
That's good. Hello, Gab. How you doing, mate? Exactly. But I think, so chat roulette, I think if they applied image recognition to that, and then every time they saw a dick, it would just remove it, I think that would just automate the 1,000 ban automatically. So that's what I'd be doing if I was banned. We are having trouble, image recognition. Yeah, the, what do you call it, the dick recognition system. We'll have to use DeepMind, though. Yeah, exactly. No, you can do that on MetaMind right now. It's a startup that has an API that you can just tap into, and it's specializing in food recognition, but dick and bananas are similar, right? And you know where that's going to be used so that people don't cheat at the checkouts.
Yeah.
Genius! That's clearly,
Hey, Javier.
that is clearly a Haas avocado, not normal one.
Doobie dude. How you doing, Doobie
You
dude?
know what the biggest thing stolen at Woolworths is?
What is it?
I know, here's a little secret, Woolworths secret. Neutral Bay,
Yeah.
people take steak and they ring it up as like mince.
Ah,
Biggest
the old
thing, it's
steak
like-
and mince shuffle.
So dodgy.
What is transhuman? A transhuman is someone that wants to enhance themselves biologically
Look,
in order to
realistically,
live indefinitely longer,
once somebody crosses
or
that
just to be
threshold,
better
they
at
can't
what
do
they're doing or what they love to
So,
do.
you know when they opened up all the self-checkout
For example,
lines?
they could want to live longer than your standard living life of about 80 years. Or they can upgrade
once you leave your
themselves
store.
to have bionic arms
It's not their,
that can actually lift things that are heavier, to upgrade their minds so that they can be smarter.
How do you extend your life?
So yeah,
though?
so just be better at what they love to do.
One shoplifter is
That's what a transhuman is.
terrible.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts about what's a transhuman, Gavin?
Sorry?
What do you think is a transhuman? Oh, we got some. Oh, I see. People like this is Doobie Dude saying, "What is transhuman?" What do you think? What is transhuman?
Well, it's my first time here, but my rough idea was that it's once we can actually modify ourselves in whatever way that happens to be the case, I'd say transhumanism is like talking about what is the discipline concerned with what that means, because it changes what it means to be human. So we're talking
Think transformer,
Yes.
transvestite,
The trans part we're trying to desensitize.
transition.
Oh, it's part of the movement, right? It's about morphological freedom, right? So do whatever you want with your body, right? This is yours. So if you want to upgrade yourself to have superhuman strength.
If you want 10 fingers so you can type faster,
Yes,
no problem.
that's right. 20 fingers.
Yeah.
Oh, Rin Moriarty.
Sorry,
Hi,
I mean,
Maureen.
10 on each finger. That's
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes. I hope that was clear to the viewers.
That's
that I was
right.
talking about
Hey,
extra
Rambo.
fingers, double the number of fingers.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
have.
Do you remember
I
the?
modified myself to have exactly the same number of fingers. I chopped them all off and I reattached them, and it's great.
Take that, typewriting game. That's right. Toe typing. Next level. But for me, it's all about existential risk. Because I know at some point I'm gonna have to die, but if we can do what we can while we're alive to pursue that goal and accelerating that change to potentially give us a chance to live indefinitely, then yeah, why not? I want 12 penises of varying length, girth, and color. Apparently, says Doobie Dude. So one of each color. What are you gonna do with the black dick though? You just put it in the middle. You begin the dick finger to everybody.
There's a guy who actually has 2 penises and he has enough trouble using both of them, so I suggest you look up his case. He has managed to do it, but I don't think he could really go beyond using 3 maybe. Like, you think about just the
3 at a time.
the spatial logistics of it.
Yeah.
However,
You would have to hang on a glider.
place those dicks at random places around your body, that would be...
Yeah, you need a dick either on the top of the head, because then you can do I'll win every dick measuring contest. Says Doobie Dude. Who's there to challenge you, mate? Who's there to challenge, man? Have we got any challenges in the crowd? Do we need dick measuring challenges?
Well, look, if you show me yours...
Well, this Periscope's getting banned quite soon. I think that's
Okay, yes.
It's all right. Let me talk to the rest of the crowd here. Yeah. We got some more Russians here. Gotta go, fellas. Yeah, I know, right? Lynn says, let's drink.
Oh, we're about to lose Doobie Dude.
Doobie Dude, oh no! Doobie Dude, come back! We need Doobie Dude. So, what do you think transhumanism is about? This person's wrong.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
You're already transhuman. Can you walk out of the house and know where you're going without Google Maps? No? You're transhuman. Sorry,
You are
too late.
transhuman. To be human is to be transhuman.
One of us.
One of us. Batman. That's right. Yeah. To be human is to be transhuman. I'll ask these guys.
In America. Hello.
Hey guys, hi. I'd just like to ask you, what do you think transhumanism is about? What does it mean to be transhuman?
I think of it as kind of being a bionic person. So you've got your body is sort of augmented and or replaced with technology, right?
Yeah.
Human man-made, which is not PC, but man-made technology.
That's right.
And the difficulty for me is determining, how you retain your identity. I mean, your identity is somehow determined, right? And the problem is, how much can you replace of your wetware until you're not you anymore?
Yes,
right?
exactly. And when you're combined with everybody else, that collective intelligence, you lose that identity.
Well, that's what I don't like about Buddhism. Right? They kind of want you to deny yourself and become a non-individual. I don't want that.
But are you on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm only.
So you're on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter.
Retweet this. Have you seen this?
We're connected to thousands of millions of different people, and yet we're still individuals. So it's not a problem.
We are all individuals.
Not a problem, but
I think there's a similar...
Retweet this link. I think we got share with this the latest one on Transhumanism. I think we got about 10,000 followers now.
That's not
too bad. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah. Our Facebook blog's about 500, but I think we're trying to load up more videos like the Ray Kurzweil's on what is the meaning after the technological singularity, right? Talking about turning every sort of particle, matter in the universe into a Computronium, which means that
Computronium.
Yeah. So every
No.
Okay, so Computronium, the idea is that matter, well, how can I explain it? So basically, you can get matter to do computations, right, in silicon chips and things, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
So there's a logical limit to how small you could get that to go.
Sure, yes, of course.
Computronium is the most efficient and smallest way to do that.
Right, okay.
So you're getting it on the atomic level of computation, quantum computers, down to a quantum level. So you can have all matter acting as a computing substrate.
Yeah.
So if our descendants, our mind children were just software, they could run on this substrate.
Right.
You could have a ring of it around the sun, using the sun, all of the sun's energy.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
and then just continue to expand to the rest of the universe that hadn't been converted to Computronium.
Colonized stars.
Yeah, the great goo thing. Yeah. But yeah, well, that was in Woolf from Diffusion Science Radio, everyone. So check out www.diffusionscienceradio.com.
No, www.diffusionradio.
Diffusionradio.com. That's right.
Thank you.
Or you can check out his YouTube at www.youtube.com.
YouTube.c/diffusionradio.
Ah, there you go. Thanks, guys.
I'm not going to buy BXB.
Yeah, so we've got, I don't know if it's actually in my model, but so I created a model which,
But in terms of the commodities and resources and things like that, the boom isn't going to come around for another long time. Yeah. Well, it's all tied to China. It's all tied to China because the reason. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sure.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Sure.
It's all right.
The reason you would invest in BHP is you're indirectly investing in China because China is the new workshop of the world. So you would only reinvest in BHP and all those other commodity companies when China then picks up again. So China's in a sort of a slump for the next 2 or 3 years, and then when that picks up again, you would then buy BHP again because you would definitely because these things are always a cycle. It always goes cyclical because you hear this term economic growth. Economic growth isn't only more goods and services and all that. It's also more new things, more new technology, more new progress.
Yeah.
Which is
More stuff.
more new stuff. So it's not only more new of the old stuff, it's more new of the new stuff.
Yeah.
So
what we don't take into account in GDP growth is the fact that right now we're carrying supercomputers in our pockets.
Yes.
Back in the days, right? So that's very undervalued in terms of growth.
Yes.
And how do you account for that though?
Yes, and it's actually technology that drives a lot of these new cycles. So the last back in the mid 1990s, it was the internet, and then after that it was Web 2.0, and then smartphones, etc., etc. And then, so I think the next one for me is natural language computing.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, so as someone that actually derives most of my income from investments in these sorts of things. I'm thinking, what's the best bet for the next? You hear of Watson?
Well,
IBM,
I've invested in IBM, but it's like those guys they're going through a transition.
I know. So it's gone.
I recently invested in IBM, not when it was like $200 something, right?
So you bought it 155 or 150 or something.
Like 120.
So, but it's been flat for a long time. So, but the thing, I'm thinking Facebook at the moment as well.
Yeah. Google's. Do you think Google's still got a lot more upside to it?
I kept Google.
Yeah,
so as I was saying to Gavin, Christian, I sold off most of my Australian stuff. Like I sold off all my mining. I sold off all my banking. So I'm actually cash rich at the moment.
Ready to deploy.
The thing I did keep was the Google and the Apples. And I only just kept Amazon. I'm very iffy about Amazon because it's
all based on growth.
Yes.
It's all about there's no profit, right?
There's no profit.
You just got to keep on growing.
Yes.
So,
and it's all
as long as the CEO's there.
And Bezos, yes. I mean, without Bezos, Amazon isn't Amazon because he's the one that has grown it from.
It's all about the exponential thinker, right? It's having that majority interest, that vision, like the Zuckerbergs, the Pages, right? The Elon Musks, right? So this is the whole point. Why this is what I'm worried about Tesla. So when Elon Musk steps down, like in say 5 years' time or 4 years' time, when the Model 3 is out and in production, so what's going to happen? He's going to focus on Mars, and Tesla's going to be run by just an operational CEO, right?
Yeah, which is So going back to Facebook,
more Russians. Why is everyone sort of from Russia? I don't know. So Facebook, yes, I love it. I bought the Oculus Rift, so mine's coming in May.
Yeah, and did you hear Zuckerberg's New Year's resolution?
Yes.
The Home AI.
All about Home AI.
So that's the next Apple iPhone.
It's all about the relationship.
Yeah.
All about relationships, and relationships unlimited by technology.
Yeah. So if you think about where he goes,
Californians.
Yeah.
Californians here too.
Okay. So if you think of where Facebook is positioning itself with AI and natural language computing. It's they're setting up a digital assistant. Yeah. And also they're then linking that to the home.
Yeah. It's all about capturing that information.
Yeah. So
that's what that's their motto.
Yeah. So you start off with using it in the home.
Yeah.
And then once you're comfortable with using it there, you expand it to your car, to the street.
To all your domestic stuff.
And then at some point it takes over your life.
It's gone. You're just part of a node in this global system, right? So it's like artificial slavery at the end of the day. But it's what do you call it? It's given consent. You're consenting to all of it.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, I'm happy to consent to it because I think at the end of the day, like, they say all that privacy and all that, but the worst crimes happen in the dark. Like, Dave's just talking about the postman not even ringing at his doorbell because he just didn't want to bother, right? So he essentially lost his courier delivery because the delivery guy knew no one was watching him and just said, okay, I arrived but no one showed up. Like those sort of things, if there's CCTV everywhere, all the information is available and open source, none of that stuff would happen. Someone said, I'm really fascinated by analytics. I am systems engineer, data is the future. Yeah, that's completely true. And data is everywhere, and it's all about what you can do with the data and using a machine learning layer upon it so that you can automate a lot of those analytics.
Yeah. Well, for me, you've got to take it's AI and machine learning is a tool like everything else. It's either be used for good or for bad. But if you look at what's coming downstream from where we're heading, it's like it's getting so complex that we can't do without it anyway. So it's more dangerous for us in the future not to have it than to actually have it.
Exactly.
That's what we'll say.
It's the automation future, and that's why transhumanism is about this stuff is happening, and it's happening faster and faster, right?
Yes.
So how do we prepare for it? How do we get the word out to your mainstream people so that they can also prepare for it? And then how do we shape policy? How do we encourage more innovation to accelerate it even more? Because once you have the voters and the public all vying for this thing, then the message, the idea is incepted in everyone else.
Yeah.
And then you get the policies, the investment, and then just more stuff happens.
I am glad that Malcolm Turnbull is our Prime Minister rather than Abbott, because Abbott was absolutely yesterday's man.
That's right. At least Malcolm's saying the right things, and he gets the idea. You can see that he reads the right books. Like he uses the word anti-fragile, which means he uses Slack, right? That's what it does.
Exactly.
So just needs to be following correct policies for him to follow through with.
He just needs to provide the funding. Things for fundamental science, he still needs to understand. Well, he's a liberal, but that's the thing. He still needs to understand that fundamental science explores the actual, the barrier, right, of the future, right? So you actually need government to explore the unknown, that the risk is actually not quantified yet. So you need to actually charter that unknown as government.
Well,
apparently politics is reactionary to current needs. You guys live in a fantasy land. Yeah, exactly. They're driven by the mainstream, and most people aren't with the edge.
Yeah. Well, now that we are talking about politics, my politics is a bit libertarian in that I don't actually think the government actually does anything, and I actually do work for the government as well, so I should know. But the thing with Australian politics, especially, and a lot of the Western democracy sort of tradition, is that it's representational politics. So it's once every 4 years we vote for our politicians. And then we then sort of say, hands off, you get on with it, and we then get on with our own lives. We don't.
And the cycle comes again. Come election year, they just spend all this money just to get the voters on board.
Yeah.
Right?
So what we've got to do is change the model from representational politics to participatory.
Direct voting, direct policy votings and all that.
Yeah, do you know how
direct democracy?
The nation of Estonia?
Yes, they implemented it.
Yes. So, they are smaller than we are, but the technology is there. The technology is here for us to move to that model. It's just the laziness of us voters and the laziness of the...
Yeah, it's a huge challenge to get the incumbents on board and to try to even, get people to understand how direct democracy would work, right? So, so James Jansson there from the Future Party, he runs the Alliance for Progress, which is a coalition of all the sort of progressive minor parties, right? And one of the no faith in the private sector. No, private sector is driving all the innovation right now, but at the same time we need people to drive the frontiers of where the risk is unknown. For example, space, right? SpaceX is doing a great job at exploring how to do the rockets and re-land and try to get to Mars. But all that stuff was done by NASA. So NASA had already explored those frontiers, right? So I work at Deloitte. I work for the Deloitte Center for the Edge, and we're looking at 5-10 years down the track. How Fortune 500 companies can survive, right, rather than be a victim to the revolving door that is technological progress. We preach this thing called exponential organizations, right? Because if you're not an exponential organization, you're just like any other company like Kodak, right? So these guys have an immune system to react to new things because you've done great as a company, you built yourself up, very successful, but now it's time to protect that success. And when you're protecting that success, you're hiring internal risk managers, you're hiring, brand managers, all those things that could potentially destroy your pile of gold, right? Once you have those things in place, it's almost impossible to have a startup sort of mentality within the system. So maybe all well is get his exponentially shitty web apps. That's probably right. Yeah, can you hold on this?
Yep, sure. Okay. It's your turn. Anyway.
Show people the view.
Oh,
it's alright. Just watching a bunch of lawyers, you know, still kind of vie for their day jobs. Meanwhile, the automation will happen. Yeah. Can you imagine all the lawyers trying to figure out, you know, how their jobs are going to get automated? Hey, Charles. Thanks for that, mate.
Speaking as a lawyer myself,
I'm a lawyer too.
Are you? Okay. But law is actually a technology. You've got to realize that. So it's a slow technology, but it is.
It's still words on a page, right? Words on a page.
Did you? Is Deloitte Legal still around? I think I interviewed for them once.
Oh, really? Yeah. What do you think?
I interviewed for all the big firms like Allen's, Minters, and all that. And thank God I never got into any of them because
apparently,
it's sort of the road not taken sort of thing. So,
apparently, law also predates logic as well.
Is that a comment?
That's a good one. Yeah, that one. Marcus Pfister. Good on you, mate.
Anyway, so who came up with that term exponential organisation?
Well, that's the Singularity University term. So there's a book by the same name, written by Salim Ismail, and you know, he's the director for Singularity University. So that's set up by two co-founders. One is Ray Kurzweil, who Peter D. Manners, right? So Ray Kurzweil is pretty much like the god of the transhumanists because he just talks about this exponential law of accelerating returns.
He's been pushing it for the longest, I think, is probably as well, isn't that correct?
Which one?
He's probably been pushing it for the longest as well.
Exactly, yeah. And the stuff that he's predicting is, you know, he's probably the most successful guy. Like, you know, it's like 80% accuracy or something like that. Yeah, in terms of his predictions. But I think that's like long-term predictions are easy because you're just going by Moore's law. Just like nobody really trusted it until it happened. And then Moore's law doesn't just happen once. It's like different phases of Moore's law because you're turning from, you know, the vacuum tubes into the transistor, right? Into the silicon chip, into like, you know, the actual chips we're using now. And what's the next paradigm? You know, we got potentially 3D chips and graphene and quantum computing. So the paradigms are all lined up, and that exponential curve will just continue to grow. So you know that, you know, if Moore's law continues, by the year 2045, he's predicting that the collective intelligence of the human race will be superseded by, you know, an AI. Right, so that's why he calls that the technological singularity, and we don't know what happens if everything just increases so fast at that rate. So, but that's all
actually,
airy-fairy.
I actually discovered. I actually didn't get into this through Kurzweil. I actually got into it through Damien Broderick.
Oh, who's that?
The Spike. You haven't. I'll lend you the book then. He wrote a book called The Spike, which was predated the singularities near. The Spike,
wow.
Which is the same concept. At some point, it goes vertical.
Okay. It's an old concept. It's about how do you publish it well and get the idea out. And the Spike. The
Spike is about the. Why he.
I'm gonna say hi to this.
Yeah, sure. Well, So if you go onto if you read ebooks or something like that, you've read Kurzweil.
I've at least watched one of his documentaries, and always like I got one of his books on like in PDF form.
There's an Australian guy called Damien Broderick, and he's all about technological progress and all that, and his book is called The Spike, which is published about 1996, so quite a long while ago. And the reason why he calls it The Spike is because of the exponential growth thing, that it starts off very small, but eventually at some point it explodes. So the spike is the explosion. There's a book I'm reading right now called Rise of the Robots by Martin.
I'm Christian.
I'm Jewish. Nice to meet you too.
I'm Dan.
Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shimon. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Shimon.
Yeah.
What is?
So glad.
Is Shimon hello? Or is it your name? Or?
Yeah, it's my name.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dan, that's your name?
Dan is my the anglicized version of my name.
Well, what's your real name? What's your Christian name?
Well, it's not a Christian name, but first name you mean, but it's Dang with a G.
Dang.
Yeah, she's kind of
First name or your last name?
It's actually my middle name, but I came from Vietnam. So the way the Vietnamese say their name is surname, middle
Like
name.
Alex Dang. Do you know Alex Dang?
I don't know.
That was his last name, but he could just be a middle name. Yeah.
So it's kind of complicated, but yeah, the way the immigration did my documents.
Hey.
Yeah, sure.
How you going? I'm Shimon.
Do you want a sort of contribution for the beer and pizza?
Oh no, don't worry about it, man.
Okay.
We'll have a next event at Deloitte, so that we can actually more space to probably do a keynote speech at the next one.
I'll be happy to host at my place at some point because
that'd be good.
There's more space than this, put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. This is just this is my place.
Yeah. Well,
whereabouts are you again?
Little Bay, so it's not a huge way away.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Cool, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's a hole in the wall in that $150 a week. Yeah, for this hole in the wall. Yeah, that's Sydney, but you're in the middle of the city. I think that's a good price. It's just 5 minutes walk from where it's stumbleable.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah.
Let's have some pizza, man.
The aim at some point is not to work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole our abundance feature.
Yeah. But you've actually got an interesting job.
I have to convince linear thinkers to actually come around to the idea that their business might fail in 5 years. The existential risk is hard to convince people. They don't want to hear. It's like life insurance, selling life insurance. But you got to die one day.
As a fellow lawyer, I was actually a very traditional lawyer in terms of having cases and all that. And your first 20 cases are quite interesting, but after that it's a sausage factory.
Same stuff. Exactly. Just conveyor belt. But we've got the way that law is designed. It really should be designed like a decision tree. Yeah, go for it.
So which one do you reckon doesn't have tomato?
The ham and pineapple, I think.
Did you get a spicy one?
Yeah, there's a spicy one.
Oh,
so that's got.
okay.
You can see the chilies.
It might have been. I think it's this one.
Okay, let me come around and have a look.
Try that. I don't think there's any tomato on that one. It's very dry. It looks very dry.
What's all the red stuff then?
I don't know.
What do we have in here?
Actually, I don't know. Maybe it's the ham and pineapple. Must be the ham and pineapple.
It could be. Otherwise, I can just order from crust.
I want a spare.
So I know they'll do it.
Oh, there it is. Well, it looks red. It looks a bit red. How's that one? What's that bottom one?
So I can have something else tomato base.
Go for it. Just want to check this out. Yeah, that looks very. That's barbecue.
Tomato, chili, capsicum.
It's the one with no sauce.
Yeah.
It might be this one, Ian.
Okay.
It's either this one or this one. So which one looks less red?
They all look like they've got sauce.
Okay.
So which one? Do you think it's the chili one?
No, I think it's this one.
This one?
Yeah.
It just looks pretty like
Or the
it's
ham and
red
pineapple.
stuff on the base.
It's the one with the
I reckon
how about
they
this one?
forgot, like the Domino's people did.
Sorry, Ian.
That's alright.
There's garlic bread again and.
There's garlic bread. Hold on. Do you have a crust menu? Or I'll do it
Yeah,
on
they're
my
online.
phone.
They're online. Yeah, you can use my computer if you want.
Okay, because that's easy.
Yeah.
Woman I spoke to today, second pretty switched on, and was saying, I know a lot of,
I tried.
Can't do that as well.
I tried.
Oh look, it's Pizza Hut and
Maybe more
Domino's are
custom space.
hopeless. Really, I reckon what they do is I think they've got pre-made bases with tomato paste, and that's all they have. So I gave up on Pizza Hut decades ago. Crust is the way to go.
I'll give crust a go next time, right?
Yeah. Right, I'll try the computer. Excuse me.
Yeah. Grab this on the way. There you go, mate. In case you're starving.
Sure.
Go for it.
Thank you.
You still periscoping the same?
Yes. I think people like seeing food.
Keep your user base.
Exactly.
I like to see all the everyday things.
Yeah, exactly. Alright. Oh,
Imagine huge contraptions or robots or whatever you can got that type of
Lots of love for the pizzas, man.
Yeah. totally mechanical engineering. Imagine like any, like it's you know the closest big city is to Darwin. Have a guess. What's the closest? What's the closest?
Jakarta.
Jakarta. You got to. What's the population of Jakarta? Like
20 million.
20 million. It's the size of us. No, it's bigger than that.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's huge.
Did anyone hear about the attack?
Amazing.
In Jakarta. What happened? Muslims.
Well, Muslims, it was Indonesia, they're all Muslims.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's just terrorists.
Well, they don't even want people.
No, so they can't even call it. If the whole country's Muslim, you can't call it.
No.
Terror. You got Muslim terrorists.
Well, they're
We're
terror.
Muslim.
It was Jakarta, so they just grenades and gunmen.
And possibly a suicide bomber.
Killing police.
Possibly, they don't have to. So that they kill police and, well, there's 6 people counted as dead. One of them's one of the perpetrators. The others, they haven't released any names or anything. And my sister lives in Jakarta, but fortunately she's in Japan at the moment.
Wow. What does she do there?
She works at the Australian Embassy.
As a.
She's the General Secretary of the press corps there, the media part of the embassy.
Do we pump a lot of money? We pulled back money from Jakarta, didn't we? But after the whole
Indonesian aid.
killing of the
I
the
think
2 fellas.
we kind of still. We do a lot
I
of
think
stuff.
there was a
because
lot
we
of
want their
anti-threat
trade.
stuff about it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's usually.
in reality, like Australia and Indonesia have a very cozy relationship, even when we come to fight two people. So, like, you know, for ages we ignored the East Timor thing, and then we went in there and strained relations temporarily, and then it was okay, you know.
Because we gave them.
Well, no, I think it's just like we don't really want any problems with Indonesia.
No.
They don't want to us.
No.
Like,
It's a bit like the Chinese
Hi.
mining workforce
Hi.
that they
Come on.
that they asked.
See you level 16, okay?
Remember that meeting that
Yeah, see you soon.
July
Bye.
had?
16.
They set it down in China
Hey.
and they said, oh, you know, you guys, we can pull a lot more out of the mines. Let's give you 1 million workers, yeah?
oh yeah.
Ex-army workers, yeah?
Yeah.
So they got the army in Australia before they invade.
Yeah.
So smart.
Mhm.
She said, oh no, sorry guys.
Yeah.
No can do.
But when you talk about ex-army, like by what we call ex-army in Australia, everyone qualifies as ex-army in China. Like one of my ex-girlfriends, she was Chinese, and she, you know, had to do military training as part of her university degree. Like, you're forced to. Yeah. Yeah. So she shot a weapon, trained a grenade. Yeah.
Love pizzas on the rice cooker.
Just training.
Staple.
China doesn't go because China's the noble state. It doesn't go to the nation. That's pretty interesting when you go to China. Like, they always talk about their history and about how they used to have the warring kingdoms, and then they unified, and that was the end.
Really?
And they never wanted to have another war again. Even though they have these little things where they're like, oh, we're just going to push a little bit further west, and, you know, they like to sell the story that they're the peaceful middle kingdom of Earth, you know. Like,
Wow.
It's definitely this one, Ian.
They had some pretty shocking
It's definitely
laws
this
when
one.
they-
It has no tomato.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
they did.
Sure. Well, I haven't ordered
No,
anything.
it's this one. It's definitely this one.
Before you go,
Every single movie is about like crouching tiger and dragons.
you can replace. You go to the crust thing. Check out the bases.
Hummus!
They've got lots of
Food
bases.
Masters 1, 2, and 3.
So there's a full build your own even.
It's like, what is this, a crust pizza ad?
Also.
So yeah, look, I can eat there at least.
Yeah. I'll get one for you next time.
So what do you do, Jan?
So you have to put it up in sort of.
Hey, Brendan! Hey! Hi, mate. Good to see you, mate. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Give me a hug, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Want to be, mate?
Yeah,
Good.
I'm just doing Periscope, sorry. Yeah, it's definitely that one. It's so dry that there's no tomato detected in my... We need a Meow Ludo tomato detector. What is it? The tomato protector? No, the...
Isn't that what they call it?
The pussy detector.
That's how I felt about it.
You what?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Streaming? Yeah, sure.
What am I streaming to?
Streaming to... How many people on there? There's only 4 people on there, but we're going to record it anyway.
No.
ran into
So what are you from Darwin? You work in Darwin? Or?
I'm from Jamaica actually.
Yeah, really good, mate.
So I was on the streets in Negril and this guy sold me some, really good, thing of bushweed. And I said, that's it. I'm leaving Jamaica. It's too good. Yeah. And you're from Vietnam?
My family's from You gotta leave your print on the wall.
You reckon?
That's pretty good.
Can you see the print? You guys see?
I think he does read this place.
Can you guys all see the print that I left? Yeah. The print, too.
Free Stanford, just to guarantee it's there.
These are Transhuman shoes. This is like, if you want to be like Sergey Brin, you wear like these
Are they comfortable?
Vibram 5
Are they good to run in?
What's that view, mate? Holy
These
shit.
are like Vibrams.
Notice that one.
Vibrams,
That's
eh?
pretty transhuman. Like, if that was your feet, actual feet.
These are
Gills and all that. Well,
So these have got like, fiber optics in them, and they make my toes actually work when I'm wearing shoes.
whoa.
I like those ones there, see?
Yeah.
Cloven hoof.
I'm like the Neanderthal of the modern, fashion man.
This is like Sergey Brin. This is what billionaires wear.
That's exactly right. And you got to insert those magnetic mods so that you can feel like electricity with your feet.
Like in Crisis 3,
Yeah, that's right.
not Crisis Warhead. Yeah.
Dude, my pants are so good.
Are they striped?
Nah,
No, they're just iron.
standard.
Where are your shoes, bro? Where are your shoes?
Oh, they're over by the door. They'll put them back on.
No. I mean, we're on the information superhighway.
We're on what?
We're on the information superhighway on the World Wide Web.
The interweb.
The interweb.
Yeah, right.
We're on the NBN.
Yeah, right.
What suburb? Where do you live?
I live in Canterbury.
Where?
Canterbury.
Canberra.
Canterbury. You
Oh,
know
so
the one in
yeah,
Sydney?
man, I can't hold the same words. You guys on NBN already there, aren't you?
No, not where I am. No, I'm in a hole.
Why, where are you?
I'm in the sugar mill. What Canterbury was the sugar mill?
You in a building or?
It's a building with three foot thick, 90 centimetre thick walls. Next to the Brooks River.
How many apartments in there?
20.
And what internet can you get at the moment?
ADSL if you like. Well, ADSL.
How far and what speed do you get?
Well, I haven't really checked it out, but I'm about as far as exchange you can get from in that area. Not on the very edge of the area where
So I'm working with some guys. We're building the full speed network. There's the national broadband network, otherwise known as the NBN. We're building the full speed network, otherwise known as the FSN.
right. Which is better than the current.
Which is full speed. It's, we're not buying Optus, Sprint and cable and selling it to you as NBN. We're not buying Telstra cable. And
Your job. Yeah, they're cool. I've heard them. Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're actually looking at apartment buildings where we can beam a signal to and light it up.
And over wireless.
Yeah, we do wireless. So
Finally. Sorry, man. I'm sorry. This took so long. How long did it take? A year?
Name spelled wrong, man.
Oh, shit.
Just kidding. Thanks, guys.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Wow.
Lots of people being
Yeah, badge as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit close up and personal. Yeah. I don't want to ruin your show.
This is my fourth power to put it back together again. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, stress ball. Oh, does anyone want a badge?
when someone asks too much.
Where you going?
You got one?
What's it for, man?
To represent, man.
Represent what?
Transhumanism. That's the symbol.
Oh, 8 plus. Human blood.
No, I need one for my. I got two kids.
Nice. Promo for the kids starting early.
So you figure out, oh, you're on the freaking video.
Humanity Plus. Is that shit?
It's always Hewlett Packard.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to yeah, okay, give me your details, because if you can do sales and talk to everybody in there and sit them all down and get a building, we can light up your building, we can do it. Yeah?
And once people have been asking me,
you can get 50, you can no, if you can get 10 guys in your building, we can look at banning out your building. No, we don't need it, let's just go to the building. Go on 041. What's your number?
0410.
so, that's the one that fell over.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Is that mine? People in your name?
Probably. That's all right.
So you want it back or?
Yeah, okay. I'll relieve you of your duties for now. Yeah. Sorry, man.
Pizza, thanks.
We need one of those helmet things, right?
Who's on the other end?
Oh, this is Periscope. We got it's recording on my phone for later, but also it's got live viewers, so people can ask you questions and stuff. Does anyone want to ask Brendan Clark a question? You know. Yeah, he's one of the co-founders from the outset, man. Yeah, look at that, the battle-hardened transhumanism. That's right, so we got VR community.
New name cards.
Yeah. We got the. I need to find a better. Oh, we are here. Lamger says we are here. Oh, that means. Where are you guys? Yeah. Yeah, trying to find like better vitamins, better like stuff that actually works. You can just get it out there. The wife said that stuff is pretty good, is it?
Oh, is that you? Yeah, it's someone.
Yeah.
I'll take a photo of the other stuff. I'll take a photo of it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sweet.
I realised afterwards that I've made some grammatical mistakes.
That's my number.
We're just trying to get enough equipment so we can start creating, providing access to our members at Deloitte or something. Just create the source. Yeah, so we use that up.
If you can talk to 9 neighbours,
and then we can start crowdfunding for the biotech guys, now Ludo. You coming next Thursday? Is the basic income thing?
I almost couldn't come tonight. Bugging me back, man.
What happened?
Picking up a closed bag. This is why we need access skeletons, right?
Jesus. We need like a titanium bag.
That's right. Exoskeleton.
That's right.
Yeah. And then redid it.
you're getting how much?
It's not good. The Periscope's pretty good app.
The quality when it's downloaded isn't that great, but at least it streams it out. So, it's better than Google Hangouts, because Google Hangouts, you have to organize, you have to inflict,
and the plugins don't always work.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've got the sound working on. Got the sound working, I think, on Google Hangouts. So, well, that's us on that's all on TV. Yeah, it's a bit of lag, and there's a Periscope. Google Hangout. What are these? Yeah. Oh, these are the slides we're going to work on for our transhumanist pitch deck. So what we're about.
It's pretty good analogy.
About what's happening in the future of SpaceX, exponential growth, 3D printing and all that. Driverless cars, AI. We'll talk about AI right now. Xing intelligence landscape, like future of healthcare and longevity. So if we don't do a keynote at every event, we hire out Deloitte, the source, 90 people. If it scales up enough, we need 200. events. Just have a keynote speaker. Stephanie talk about it as well. Stuff as well. There comes around. It's speaker as well. So this is all, hype cycle stuff. All these tech coming on board online. So all this stuff that we can do, and all these slides, basic income, futurist sex. We've got to get that going, right? Automation, AI, biohackers, teletonics, and the AR stuff. I think next couple of weeks, there's another meetup. So Scott O'Brien is trying to do another one at Deloitte. See if we can do that.
Because I've already told people about the augmented reality background.
Yeah.
But until you have that
Future sex is going to be hard to get people to go.
Yeah, so far.
I mean, it's cool. Like people are very reserved, you know?
Yeah. This is our website, right?
Yeah, well, I think I sometimes sign up to the email list a few weeks ago for this website.
Oh, cool. Did it work? Because you get the weekly spam. Sorry, it's Brendan.
I'm Christian. Nice to meet you.
Christian's been part of the meetup group for a while, but were you trying to get in last week as well?
I was thinking about it, but I had something else to go.
Oh, that's okay. No,
so I had to pull out.
That's alright. Because another Christian showed up, but because it wasn't actually last week. So maybe it's another Christian, but because we had dinner with Meow Ludo. You know Meow is from the biohacker community.
I've heard of it.
That's a good way to change your name to something memorable, right? Plus, he's a really nice guy, right? And he does really cool shit. Just grab dinner with him and Shane Green up. Try to get that working. Alright, keep on crashing it into the TV. Trying to find you. Steady lift up.
I got a quad, but it's too fast.
So we're trying to do the quadcopter races. Like Ian went to one of those.
I've got like a cheapy quad, which is like in the shell. The problem is that for some reason one of the propellers breaks and now it just rolls along the ground. Well, it's really hilarious. Because like it has one of the shells which is
I'm a very good drone pilot.
Oh yeah? Drone school! That's the new profession. See, what's this automation business? New jobs creating everywhere.
Yeah, China's got drone school.
Taking over the martial artists.
I've got like the flyable drones, like I saw you posted a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was cool. Like, Ian's actually there. So Ian, So just doing it. I think they were just doing it indoors though. It wasn't one of those massive ones where they're doing it in the car park, right? Like quite expensive gear, $1,000 ones. It's still pretty cool.
Indoor stuff's cool. I mean, sometimes you have the safety netting and then you can smash all the drones into each other. It's awesome. Have you seen that?
It's so good. It's like drone wars.
It is drone wars, yeah. It's absolutely awesome.
Do they like fall out of like the air or something?
The idea is they have a four record.
If you want to just
The idea is the last drone standing. So obviously you can dodge, but before you dodge, look, your battery's done. Right? So the last drone, you're flying. And so one of the ways you can stop the other drones from flying is to smash them into walls or like their braids off or something like that. But if you do too much maneuvering, then you can run your battery flat up and you die.
That actually sounds like
It's absolutely awesome. It's one of those things that's trying to people that when you watch it,
I just need a description to imagine how
It's really cheap. It's like $300, isn't it?
We're building the full speed network.
Oh.
I told you about this?
Wait, you might have mentioned it.
So the NBN, National Broadband, so that's for the national people, So the full speed network is for like, you just want full speed.
Yes.
You know? We're the people. Light speed. So I bought a URL this week. I was thinking, how do you like define it? I bought welcometospeed.com. It's good, no? Good. Yeah, it's like
you can actually see it, like you get a visualization of
it's a that's like a Kickstarter campaign. I don't know what the product is yet, but
do you want your Periscope to have not lag?
Do you talk to relatives in Guangzhou? He's your favourite person, sitting in a little whorehouse in Phuket. How many have I had? I've had 2. Yeah, give us a third, please. Yeah, why not? When in Peterville.
Sound is much harder than video. Like getting sound.
Which could be pretty fun.
On one through the mazes?
Yeah. Do you want to hold the thing, mate?
Just be careful you don't shine at the TV, you'll get a feedback effect and the world will explode.
Yes, that is amazing.
It's like Googling Google.
Which is as far as I know, it's a very complex process, which is still not understood.
It's a delay.
This is killing me.
We've got like 4 people on. 4 people on there. Are you philosophizing?
Well, sort of, because I just spoke and then I heard myself speak.
I guess the carbon dioxide is it. Sorry, oxygen is waste. Yeah. Their main form of waste.
It's good. Just leave it there. Does it balance?
I'm not sure if it can balance, but
I really wanted to. I know, it's a bit
But
like...
mainly they just...
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know that much about it. They need to, yeah.
it works.
Let's at least get these guys in here so they can...
I don't know. Hello. You just put the spotlight on us.
Oh, sorry.
It's also on the screen as well.
Yeah, it's the view.
There's several of them.
Is that better?
There's television inside television now.
Yeah.
Let's get the room.
Full of mirrors.
Oh,
Inception.
full on, hey? Let's zoom it down that way.
Yeah.
That's good. So where do you work? Like, what's the...
IAG.
Okay, how's it going?
I just started in September and it's going quite well.
Where'd you move from?
Oh, where was I before? Meetup, which was like a research organisation.
Oh, yeah, and then shut down lots of funding.
That's right, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's Data 61.
Do you think it was money well spent, or was it just a bunch of PhDs that needed jobs?
Was it money well spent?
So what's everyone else talking about?
There were some very smart people and did do some groundbreaking stuff. But now the future was research from inside London. So the idea that we were going to like spin out on
I used to, but then
Like a next Atlassian or something. I used to go to
I'm trying to build a game
conference.
PC at the
I used to
moment.
go to CBIT and watch the
I'm mostly
systems
using consoles at the moment.
and it was the same like
I don't
curiosity.
think
How
it's
they
a
really just
big
did
deal.
different product.
Especially with it's in June or something like that, and so when that comes up, we're going to see where the system is because we're going to be busy. So
actually being around for 1 year. The stuff we were doing is probably not going to get seen for 30 or 40 years.
What was the most amazing?
well, I think they buy it. Hopefully they buy
I was
it.
working for a while. It's like
But who knows? I mean,
it's always
it's only $400 anyway. Maybe.
The correctness of software.
It's a
and
piece
that will be like a vital
It's only $400. It's not the end of the world when it's run out. Yeah.
Right now we don't.
Even if it doesn't work for games, you
what
can
did you
still use
do?
cinema. Facebook's going to do some communication apps with
What do
it.
you do in your spare time?
I don't know what exactly they're going to do, but
Yeah.
Facebook and Facebook programming.
Everybody goes there.
Right now I don't do any extra programming.
Are you sort of technically minded in terms of putting stuff together? Because I've got no idea. I mean, I've got some idea of how to build a PC. But I can see where I can.
No, I mean,
I've got kids, I don't have time for...
I mean,
I don't have time for like
developing that relationship.
Well, there's lots of websites that will tell me how to do it.
As much as kids, I know, sorry. definitely.
Yeah, I'm definitely going
It's a pretty nice view of it. I've been to most of my mates' houses. We've got kids and they sat there for like 2 hours and just gone.
What's your PC setup with an Oculus Ready?
I don't know. Ah, yes. I wanted it to play something made that I can't play.
You know what? It's your own.
I'm telling you,
Yeah,
I'm telling you, here, I'm going to build one of
Kick in and I'll be like,
well, I've got several PCs.
Well, you know what? I look at my own kids and I go, like my daughter,
One Oculus is coming.
really cute, good looking, has a bit of personality, and runs as fast as me, and you know, like things like that you just
I know,
like about me. You know?
With console
Like
games,
my
it's not
son,
very deep. I
he's
can
very
sit down for 2
cute, like a
hours.
very like,
do it,
you know, looks like a manga character.
Whereas with League of Legends,
I usually do this, like you show manga character.
Fallout, I heard mainly time intro as well.
Yeah.
But especially with the multiplayer online ones, if you're not there to defend your territory,
that's right.
And if you build a lot of Warcraft and League of Legends, you're gonna have a guild, and if you're not, they're gonna kick you out of the guild.
Yeah, if you give him a broadsword, you know, and be like, yeah, but
it's not, we're trying to do transhumanism online communities, right? But right now, the best they've got is
they'll say funny things, and you're like, oh, that's really, oh wow, I didn't tell you
that's where, yeah, well, that's where VR comes in,
body hacking.
I can see myself defending or prosecuting an assault chase with that.
So it's funny this concept of guilt. I'm sitting there with
what's the elements of an assault?
Trying to come up with why do you want to live?
Fresh air.
What's that? What are you gonna see you here for another 20 years? Oh, thank you very much, Alan. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, good on you.
So we can talk about some cool stuff while it's been aired. There we go.
You're creating
It's sort of hidden, isn't it? Yeah. There we go. That's better. That's alright.
Okay, yeah.
And you like got friendships and you
It's kind of giddy. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about before, NLP and all that stuff that's used. Like what we're doing at Deloitte, we're trying to apply that. Not only for our clients, but in terms of automating.
Yeah, I read on your LinkedIn that you're automating a lot of legal processes, which is absolutely open to that. I think medicine is much more valuable. I think because I mean, what's a doctor? He's a milking machine, unless he does the hands-on surgery thing, which robots are getting into anyway. But I come to you as a doctor, and I have input that is my symptoms are X, Y, Z going into your thought processes. Then you think back to medical school or what you read in that textbook, and there's enough. It's like people use Google for symptoms.
It's Dr. Google, right?
Yeah.
My grandmother died when he was.
Yeah, I'm worried about that whole industry because what are these doctors?
And he lived till 85. So the man of another woman about a couple years later.
It's all like, alright, these people are going to protect their interests. So radiologists, for example, that stuff is already but the whole industry doesn't adopt it because of that.
But it's like how Facebook started, that they invade one territory and it's an with what IBM's doing in terms of healthcare, they're starting at the low levels in terms of routine health is huge. I think it's starting off as an assistant to the doctor, but then you can.
And also the recommendations.
I know.
And what other people are doing is they're going where the regulations are in each other world. And well, there the situation is one doctor to 100,000 people. So they need these things. So just like the call centres in India started off like that, you can think of that how the call centres had their invaded other markets, you can think of how the third world medicine, automated medicine, will then come over here, and the law will be the same thing, because a lot of the law is automated as well. Discovery, as a paralegal, we did discovery, we did very basic document scanning, and very basic contracts.
So I get lots of random competition. The old university runner-up, winner.
There's a robot, there's a bot. Yeah. That's interesting. I think there's a bot that does agreements, contracts, MMAs, something like that.
I've got the whole landscape back there. I'll show you the list.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm working on right now. I'm trying to get all the information I stuff listed out, as well as the main plays from, services like machine learning. Machine intelligence.
I've heard of machine learning institute.
So machine, Google it. Machine intelligence
do it. It dawned on me probably about a year and a half ago that everything over 75, like when I was on 150,
where this is heading, I can still see myself becoming a full-time lawyer again if I don't actually have to do any of the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, exactly. You're in court, you're there in front of the judge, and you ask your personal assistant, well, what do I do now? And he just, because court work is memorization and acting. It's like learning a line. So, you've got a lot of go-to lines. You say,
you benchmark against the wins.
Yeah, exactly. And you know where your triggers are in terms of objections. So obviously you know what if you can get some small.
If only we could film Judge Judy style, right? Film every case that's been debated on.
And then feed that into the computer. Yes. But we've got transcripts. So
I need to capture the body language as well, but the transcripts just cover most of it at least.
Yeah, but body language isn't that important with regards
unless
to
it's a criminal thing.
I know. Yeah. So commercial, it'll go into the commercial type stuff before it goes into the criminal type stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
As I said, I'm a naturally lazy person, but if I had an assistant which read all the files for me and said, these are your argument points to present to the court, because obviously the courts are a regulated body and they don't allow non-qualified people to stand before them. But if you had a virtual assistant that told you what lines to say each time, then you could do this almost in your sleep.
That's right.
You're being paid as a.
Do it. Yeah. So where do we go to the website for your legal advice?
Exactly.
www.dantran.com. Is that Dan Tran lawyer.
Well, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't even do it yourself. You would franchise it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth just setting it up just for yourself.
RoboLawyer.com.
But the reason why I don't do lawyering full time is because of all that reading you've got to do, and you've got to.
It takes up all your life.
It takes up too much.
When you could be doing cool stuff like go to Transhumanism Meetup. That's right. And playing games. That's it. Yeah, but it's all about interacting stuff that you're passionate about, and I think we're trying to create a community that you actually can do.
I mean, the two things that sort of changed my life was one, when someone told me, don't sell your hours, sell your products. In which case I thought, well, I'm not a software maker. I can't create physical things, but I'm just as smart as anyone else in terms of betting on the share market.
Yeah, exactly.
I did
passive income, right?
I did property first of all. I was lucky with regards to having that behind me in the first place. So, so I had a base in which to work from.
That's right. So your risk tolerance is much higher, right?
Yeah. And then and scalably, the amount of time that it takes me to buy one share is exactly the same amount of time that it takes me to buy and sell $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
So whereas being a lawyer, you've got to turn up and bill your hours, and the amount of time.
That's what we're trying to move away from at Deloitte. So we're trying to preach the strategy, right? Not only just to our clients, but to ourselves. We're trying to do this decoupled strategy, so decoupled from headcount. You're trying to grow your revenues. How do you do it in a way that you have to employ more employees?
Well, if you want, I've got heaps of time on my hands, so I'm not going to turn up every single day. But if you want some sort of unpaid intern, then
for sure, that'd be really cool.
Then I've got 10 years behind me as a lawyer.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, I mean, we're looking to incorporate soon, and we got our founding members ready, and it's just about what do we set it up as? Do we set it up as a non-profit or as a B Corp? And then how do we incentivize to accelerate the movement and the initiative? So so I mean it's pretty cool days. I mean, we're all doing this part time right now, but I'm just trying to empower everyone and get them really motivated. So creating those name cards and getting them t-shirts and badges and products to release. I think that's a pretty good start. We'll eventually have probably like a VR, AR sort of equipment place to pull out. The old PC rooms where you can just have people come in and use the stuff. Probably provide that for our members.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So just exponential stuff, right?
So I'm happy to get involved, and so you there's a
hello. How you going? Good. Sorry.
Well, what I was going to say, there's a few sort of interchangeable terms that transhumanism sort of crosses across. There's post-humanism. There's sort of technological libertarianism.
So many isms.
The thing with transhumanism is, in terms of the general populace, there's this other thing called transgenderism.
Yes. The word we're trying to desensitize, right?
Yes.
By desensitizing, we're just saying it all the time. People are like, transhumanism? What's transhumanism, right? So I think that's what Humanity Plus was afraid of, so they changed their name. So it used to be the World Transhumanist Association, and they changed to Humanity Plus to trying to avoid the trans word of it. But I'm like, but the trans word is all about morphological freedom, right? If you're transgender, you can do whatever you want with your body. Why would you avoid that, right? And at the same time, you're avoiding the problem, which is like the whole point you're trying to deal with in the first place. So Zoltan Ishvan I was talking about before, the Transhumanist Party in the US, he's actually just creating so much PR that now it's like, we're trying to make it a household name, right? So once you have that, then you just can actually achieve so many things. Transhumanism. Yeah, I know. It's going to take ages, but guess what? It's already happening, all right?
The thing is, the way a lot of people's minds work is very, very short term. So even though these ideas have been around for like 10 years, 20 years or so, and it's been even if they go to a movie sort of like Transcendence or Ex Machina and all that, and they're exposed to all these mind blowing ideas.
Doesn't stick.
It doesn't stick. It's like.
Wait for the next mind blow or
no, they wait.
They have to deal with it.
They wait until they have to deal with it.
But the thing is, with Jason Silver's the science popularizations, like the Lawrence Krauss, the Neil deGrasse Tysons, the Michio Kaku's, right? We need more of those guys around just to make people sort of, more and more mind blown, and then they're expanding this sort of consciousness, and so that they actually seek that out, seek the additional information. How do you get to someone?
I mean, as someone that sort of deals with a lot of, I would say,
linear thinkers.
Yeah, exactly. It's a closed mind is a closed mind. It's almost a sort of a training or a sort of preconditioning. That because they've been sort of preconditioned.
To accept death, to accept religion.
Exactly.
And that sort of thing.
It never then opens to anything else. And it's unfortunate because
I think there's still hope. I just think that it just takes a lot more effort. That's all. Like when it's already preconditioned, it just takes a lot more effort. But every human being, right, can rewire, like because they're all the neuroplasticity stuff. But if we just continue to sell the message, eventually we'll get through to some, if not all.
You know what I think sort of like the breakthrough is when we all get virtual assistants, like a smarter friend that is always there with us.
Yeah, and you're like, how does this thing work again?
Yes, exactly. And the thing is also because it's going to be constantly feeding you stuff that, like, you walk down the street and you won't be able to, like, you'll be noticing things that you've never noticed before. Like, you would be saying, not only it points out to you, like, that pair of shoes you can get tomorrow for less, or that the nearest petrol station is X, Y, Z, but you can imagine it can tell you the history of the city, the street that you're walking.
The augmented side of things.
Yeah, that sort of thing, and
people like that's why people are starting to become more techno curious, right? So it's like, oh, why is my phone upgrading twice every year? It's like, why is all this stuff happening so fast that I can't keep up with? But there's a lot of that fear as well. It's like, I just want to stick to what I know. I don't want to learn anything new. But the world is just continually changing, and they're going to adapt or die, right? You lose your job otherwise. The reskilling side of things is coming up in the next 5 years. I think it's going to be a big converter of the faiths.
You've read Martin Ford?
Yeah, that's right.
And
the robots.
Rise of the Robots and Lights in the Tunnel.
Yeah, so I'm so glad that the partners at Deloitte are using that as part of our book club. So first they read Give and Take. It's about, like, how do you... are you a giver, or are you a taker, or you're a matcher, so the sort of personality. But then they moved on to the exponential organisation, which I was talking about before. And then the third book, which is what they're reading right now, is Martin Ford's Rise of the Robots.
Right.
So I'm like, it's such a very progressive company.
Yeah, you should.
Firm.
Yeah, you should also read Second Machine Age. I think Martin Ford does a very good job in terms of analysing it to the nth degree. But
we need more people reading Nick Bostrom's Superintelligence as well. Like, it's just all of it. Right? Mind blow themselves until they can stretch their heads no longer.
Yeah.
And then they'll upload their minds.
Well, I think Bostrom also, he doesn't say it's like Kurzweil says it's all rosy, and there might
you're just gonna merge. It's a natural way.
And Bostrom says, well, potentially.
Existential risk.
Yes, exactly.
That's the message I'm trying to sell to the companies that are working with, right? That it's so much harder that way. You'd rather sell a message like Kurzweil, so that at least they're part of the journey, versus like you've got this enemy, this virtual enemy.
Yeah, but a lot of even when a lot of these organisations know the risk, it's sometimes it's too much of a risk of not doing it. It's the first mover.
Exactly.
The first mover.
And it's also adapt or die, right?
And well, for example, none of us want to create the Terminator, but we're creating drones that think for themselves.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's Starfleet that's doing this.
Autonomous killing weapons and all that.
And the reason why they're doing it is not because they've got evil scientists working for them. It's because it's a logical step.
Yeah, you got to do it first, otherwise the Russians will do it, the Chinese might do it.
There's a fundamental weakness in a drone. That's the signal. Like, if you jam the signal to a drone, and you can't stop people from jamming a signal. It's physics. You can just jam the signal.
You need for them to act themselves.
Yeah, so if they think for themselves, there's no need for a signal. So that's why they're creating. They're creating the Terminator not because they're evil, but because they're a logical imperative towards. And that's the same with AI. It's just too useful for us not. Because
it's like nuclear weapons, right? Like you're just going to keep developing it until it does.
Because at some point you can't with all the data we have. At some point you can't do without AI, because it's just going to be a mess, and no one will understand this stuff without a computer. So anyway.
I think it's it's really good.
So that's the message to Deloitte if they're much that it's
it's a logical step. That's all about it. Yeah. I think that so we released a paper on TMT predictions recently as well. Like about 2016, the whole cognitive technology is going to be even bigger each year, right? So
have you seen a similar one called the I think it's BT, British Telecom, that does a similar thing. BT, you can Google BT predictions again.
Cool. It's like Gartner hype cycle stuff, right?
Yeah, because BT actually has their resident futurist.
Cool. Who's that?
Peter someone or other.
Right.
So you can Google him.
Yeah. So BT. It's good to have those sort of people, like at least spreading the message from the top down.
That would be a job I would actually turn up to in the morning. I'm gonna say I'm a late sleeper, so most things I don't wake up for. So the good thing is, as a government lawyer, I set my hours in terms of because my clients
government lawyer.
Well, my clients are so much lower ranked than me that I just say meet me at 2:00.
Yeah.
Because they need my help, I don't need theirs. So,
That's right.
So
Oh, look at the transhumanist representation there. Yeah, that's it. Okay, mate. Thanks. So you're afraid of the collective intelligence losing your identity because of the eventually.
Well, that was my thought, right? But that was the first thing that came to mind when I mentioned that.
Yes.
And that's one thing that bugs me about a lot of philosophies, right? They claim, to get enlightenment or whatever, to free yourself from all your woes and troubles, you should just merge with the universe.
Merge with the technium and the Computronium
and Gaia and all that.
And Gaia, Gaia is the technium, and when Gaia expands the universe.
So what happens to me then? I don't exist anymore.
No, you're part of it. You're part of it. You're already Stardust. Right? Neil deGrasse Tyson's words, right? The stars exploded their guts and enriched all the planet, and you're made of that.
I'm made of stardust.
Exactly.
I should just be happy to return to stardust.
Exactly. Now you're intelligent stardust. Right? Now you can think for yourself.
But I want to stay intelligent stardust. Right?
Well, you collectively stay, and even more intelligent.
But then, who will I be?
You'll be everyone and no one. That is the challenge, right?
It's so appealing. It's so appealing.
Everyone and no one.
If you talk about the Kurzweil graph.
Yeah. Well, we had the slides up just then. I was putting together our pitch deck for transhumanism, by the way.
That's right.
So it kind of looks like this at the moment. Where is it? There's the first slide. There's the first slide. We got the Kurzweil's ray of accelerating returns.
I noticed that you cut out my trademark thingy.
I did. It's like Elise Sue's Sydney Innovation Ecosystem slides from Miss Techspec. I'll follow Miss Techspec, everyone. That's at Miss Techspec from Twitter. Right?
Miss Techspec.
Now part of transhumanism.
Miss Techspec.
Miss Tech, as in technology.
Speculation. Miss Techspec.
SPEC.
Miss
I don't think we're on par.
I think you need a better name now that you have to explain it all the time.
No, I'm just deaf. It's okay.
Someone just said hi ISIS. Oh, that's terrible.
Hello, ISIS.
Hello, ISIS. That's no good.
We stand for everything you do.
But so that's So that's that law of accelerated returns.
Hold on. Here's the thing. Do you think that this is true?
That's basically the idea.
The mouse thing.
Yeah.
By
2015. Yeah.
I don't think. Is it 2015?
Yeah, it says
No. Where is no? Oh, surpasses brain power of the mouse.
See, this is the problem. This is
it's not a smooth curve though. It's shifts in paradigms. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's smooth. It's a stepping stone thing. So they're waiting for the next paradigm to come along. So it could be like graphene, 3D chips, quantum computing, any of those things. It's not going to be smooth as to the day. But eventually, you gotta admit, we're getting there, right?
Yeah, well, okay, so I have opinions about what the computer power of the brain is, and I think it's beyond one transistor equals one neuron. I think it's more complicated than that. I think that the full neuron has a very complicated structure with lots of dendrites and.
Cheers, see mate. Thanks a lot for coming, mate.
And what was your name again?
James.
James. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
And you've obviously been to a few of these meetups.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hang out.
All right.
We got a future party meeting on the 28th of January if you'd like to come along to that. So.
Future party. I heard about the future party. Which is being changed to the science party.
Which is being changed to science party.
The enlightenment party.
The Enlightenment Party.
You're talking about God there, so.
Well, maybe not. I mean, actually, the Western Enlightenment. Yeah. But anyway,
That'd be cool. It's been co-opted, unfortunately.
Dan, I'm sure. Sorry.
Yeah. Some.
Yeah, it's alright. I'll capture it on video so you'll be able to see his certification.
Dear internet viewers, please hold me to this. Like, I could just be bullshitting these guys. And
He's a spy. He's an spy.
It's been a pleasure, man. Hey, thanks a lot. See you in the next one. There's a meetup on next Thursday on the Basic Income, and then we're also doing the augmented reality one. But you should probably go to the future party one.
Are you going to do a kind of presentation of the Basic Income one?
Yeah. So there'll be Meow presenting. There'll be Nathan Waters presenting, and then there's also obviously Walter. Yeah. So he's from the Hackathon back. But yeah, they're all really like entrepreneurial.
I just joined the group on Meetup.com. So I should get a.
Yeah. I'm setting up the joint meetup tomorrow. So. Thanks a lot for coming. I'll see you next one, John. So obviously that one transistor is not equal to one neuron, but it's like, what is the next paradigm to get to that 1x to the one neuron?
Yeah, so I think that
neurochips.
Well, see, the problem is, what is a neurochip or is it a brain? You know, like if you attach a mouse brain to a computer, is it a computer with a mouse brain, or is it a mouse brain?
That's just semantics, isn't it? We're all computation. At the end of the day, it's all computation. What do you think the laws of physics is?
Well, yeah. Okay, but the laws of physics, they're very, very, very much more complicated than the actual, on-off of a neuron. Like, the way a neuron fires is not straightforward, like what the levels are at which it fires and how much energy it passes down each of its dendrites.
It's just a different complexity, though, right? It's the same. At the end of the day, it's all about particles, right?
Yeah. But like when you talk about the particulate complexity of the brain, you're talking about 10 to the 10 molecules per neuron. Maybe I'm off by a bit, but
that's it.
It doesn't say
10 to the 16.
Yeah. Anyway, so I get what I'm saying is if you treat it like a mouse brain is a transistor. Oh yeah, we met it. We met it.
The full speed network is 100.
Sorry.
But if you have to worry about a billion times more computational complexity, where
we're gonna do
1 billion log 2 away from that.
Yeah.
That's why I don't agree with this slide, because
it could be off by a few decades.
I think that this bit is right. Every year we double, we go up, we increase. It's a law of accelerating returns. It's just what it means for this. Is a mouse?
A mouse.
Is a mouse?
At that point, Is it equivalent to that processing power?
Exactly, and I don't believe it is. I think it's more complicated.
Yeah.
These guys.
Well, time will tell, right? It's not too far. We're talking about 30 years here.
You know what? I actually think time won't tell. I think we have a problem in being able to tell, because it's actually very easy to fake what it's like to be a human being. It's very easy to convince someone over a limited spectrum that a machine is a human. So,
what about an actual biological thing?
Well,
you give it the whole arms, legs, breathing, everything.
But they got a computer chip in their head.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem, right? Because all these things are a distraction away from whether it's real consciousness or not, right?
No, what is real consciousness though? If you're a robot in actual right now, right?
Yeah.
From the future, because you're from the future part.
Well, you can't tell.
Yeah.
Right?
But what's the difference to me?
Well, see, this is the issue of solipsism, right? And like, how do we know that everyone around us aren't meat bots, right? Like, we could all be meat bots. Except for you, or me, or whoever in this is actually feeling conscious at the moment, right? But like, so we could all be meat bots. So when someone says, oh, we're able to create a consciousness which is equivalent to a human or to a mouse, you can't actually tell that it's consciousness, firstly, but you can't tell...
But can you measure it, though? Can you measure consciousness?
You can't measure
Why not?
consciousness. Well, what's the units of consciousness?
Can't you measure right now what we are? Right? Because we know we're human, right?
No, we can't.
No. You measure every single signal, the brain waves that are coming out.
That's a functionalist approach to understanding consciousness, which isn't universally held as true.
So when people look at particles, right, using the equipment that they do, right, can't they look at it for a human brain?
What do you mean? Like,
can they see what's happening in the brain right now?
Firstly, you would need to understand what exactly you're quantifying.
Yeah.
That is not understood with consciousness
you
because
can't
you
see
can
the
measure
blood-brain
brain activity, but not all of that activity is actually used for conscious thought. A large number of it is running automated subroutines, basically.
Right.
What we're actually doing to think isn't truly understood because you can't cut it up nicely into knowing what's conscious and what isn't.
Yeah.
And one of the big things, right? Like, if you
measuring
make,
problem.
Well, so let's say you measure it, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you go to Google and you ask it all these things, it gives results that seem really intelligent, right? And you go to a chatbot on the internet, it will sound about as good as a 13-year-old on the internet, right? Now, is a 13-year-old conscious? Some people say no, but most people say they are, right? Now, is chatbot conscious? And I think that most people would intuitively say no to that. Right?
What's your definition of consciousness again?
Well, so in terms of consciousness, I talk about qualia, which is experience. So
No, that's too iffy. Like, how do you quantify it, right? Information theory?
No. So
our definitions of consciousness is different then.
Exactly, right?
So it's a semantic issue then.
No,
that's what most people disagree.
No, because if you what you like about your life is the experience of it.
What is experience
mind,
then?
Uploading. Well,
Inputs and outputs, right?
No, it's not.
Well, and processing.
No, you actually. So this is Descartes. This is Descartes.
No, that's philosophy. That confuses people.
No, philosophy 101. Philosophy 101 is you don't know anything except that you exist.
Yeah, but they're confusing themselves. How do you break it down to physics? You're a scientist. You should know this stuff.
No, your senses could be tricking you, right? You don't know anything except that you're experiencing things. That's the only thing you know about the entire
But that's
universe.
irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you think. It's about objectively what's scientifically proven ways using the scientific method. No. How do you say something is science fact? How do you prove something is science fact?
So here's the thing, right? Like, I am the most scientifically based person around. I have a PhD in a scientific field. Mathematical modelling of HIV, medicine, right? Like, I care very much about evidence, right? But ultimately, consciousness does not have any measurable quantity.
So when I was younger, I could do this.
It's a feedback loop.
Firstly, you need to define what consciousness is.
Exactly, yeah, so that's a semantic thing. Yeah,
firstly, you're dealing with
define
an
undefined concept, and then try to measure it.
to agree on how to measure it.
Yeah, so it's
How do you measure your feelings?
philosophical.
How do you measure, what quantity does your feelings come in? You have feelings, right?
Yeah.
You like things, you dislike things, you feel pain, you feel,
But it's based
high,
on a memory,
like,
right? So inputs. So okay.
But you actually feel them.
No. Well, it depends on what you mean by feel.
But you do feel them. You can't.
No. The feel is just part of the language of describing things.
The more you discuss this with me, the more you make me feel like you're actually a meatbot.
I am a meatbot. Everyone is just a meatbot. Didn't you know? So all about, okay, if you break everything down to just particles, right? Think about that.
Yeah, okay.
So we're all just a bag of atoms and molecules.
So that's great, right? Here's the analogy, right? If you took my molecules in my head and you copied it perfectly, and then you made the same molecules over there, right? and then you jump started it with an electric current, right?
With all the memories and all that stuff.
The neurons are exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
I would say that is a consciousness, right? Like, because I can say, well, I have consciousness, and if it's true that it's a perfect copy,
exactly the same,
then it is a conscious being, right? But when you go to a different medium, when you have the laws of physics interacting in a different way, right? Like, because we have electrons and ions and like proteins and molecules all behaving in a certain way in our brain. When you change the model, you can't be certain that the consciousness still remains, right? Now, this is where I really break down the idea that you think that you're believing in physics and I'm not, right? And that's because everything in the world is based on physics, as far as we can tell, right? That's my belief, right? And that means that when you change the physics of what you're experiencing the world on, you change the experience of the world that occurs, right? So if you change your brain
talking about
from like a brain to a like electric circuit, right? Even if it gives the same inputs and outputs, the actual experience that it has could be different or could have no experience.
Yeah.
Are you talking about something like the uncertainty principle? Something analogous to that? Or?
No. This is like straight up physics. If you run your system in a different way, like it has to give different results, right? Everything else works that way, right? Like when you change your speeds, you change your scales, when you change the medium that you're working on, the results are different, right?
So are you doubting whether this is possible, or you're doubting that it's possible within the time frame that's being mapped out?
So there's two elements of that, right? I think that is highly optimistic, and like you look at all of Kurzweil's like predictions, they're very, very optimistic.
Yeah,
like,
but he gets it right like most of the time.
No, but he's missed the mark on that one.
But that's just a step thing, right?
No, but like
paradigm issue.
How many steps?
It's like 1 year. It's 1 year off.
Nah, so like
1 year off.
It's gonna matter if he goes one more year without that being
so it is a timing thing, right?
No, but see, he's 4 times
if he's 2 years off.
He's 4 times out. Right? If you don't get to 2015 and you get to 2017 and you're still not at it, he's 4 times off.
So it's reversing on him now.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like he's the exponential growth of error.
So, but that's like trying to say, okay, but his measure of what an intelligence of a mouse computationally is, right? That's his definition of what
right? Like because
it's all about definitions, right? So he's drawn a mouse that might be just okay for graphics, because he might have actually he created the other graph. He actually just thought about pure numbers.
Okay, you're talking about pure computational numbers, and the only way to say that you've got the computational complexity of a mouse brain is to simulate all of the lowest level subatomic particles that you know of, right? And that's the only way to get to the point where you know that you've got the full complexity of the mouse.
Yeah.
Right?
So they've simulated the worm thing, right? So they've done the worm.
No, but they've only done the neurons of the worm, right? They've only done... Yeah, but like, the thing is, 500. There's very few... It's not a lot, right?
So how many neurons in a mouse?
I think it's
I don't know.
around 200 or 500.
Ideally into the crib.
So how many neurons in a
Let's put
mouse?
some bets on this. I say 200.
200?
Yeah, 200.
It's more than 200.
So yeah, it's a lot more than that. It's a mammal. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the worm. I'm talking about the worm.
Okay, the worm.
Yeah.
Oh, the worm. Yeah.
See, the thing is, you don't know that you've mapped the full complexity until you've modelled physics all the way down.
Yeah.
Right? So you can't even say that. Right?
Yeah, well, that's the
like
thing.
if you're modelling at the neuron level.
I think you're being very harsh on it though. I think you're being very pedantic on the fact that, sure, he's drawn a picture of a mouse, but that's not even his graph, right? Like his graph is all about the pure numbers.
No, he puts these on his graphs.
Oh, he's got the actual.
Yeah.
Even then, right? He's extrapolating from that. So it's saying, look, it's like a mouse,
but like
not necessarily what we don't know even about what a mammalian brain, right?
What's
how else are you going to use the
1
analogy?
billion log 2? What's 1 billion log 2? Like, I don't even know. Hold on.
All I'm saying is that trajectory is true, but it's all about where you put the mouse, right? The actual mouse, where as we define what it is to be a mouse and stuff. You might put it longer and further away, but in the end, 2045 is still about the whole collective intelligence of every person that's ever lived on the earth, right?
So 1 billion log 2 is...
Apart from looking for a program,
let's see if Google will do it for me.
Yeah, as you say, 47.
1 billion log 2.
So it's...
so isn't that 10 to the power of 2 to the power of 20 or something?
Yeah.
No, 30 to the power of 30. So 30 years away, right?
Guys, you're talking about really cool stuff. What is it?
Hey, maths. So 2 to the power of 10 is 1,000, right? 1,024. 2 to the power of 20 is like a billion. Million. And then 2 to the power of 30 is a billion.
Okay, 2 to the power of 30 is a billion.
Yeah.
Okay, so that could be 30 years off.
The mouse.
Yeah.
So 2045 is all about the mouse singularity. Yeah. But then once it gets to a mammal, it doesn't take much effort when it's just doubling every year. So it could be 2 years off, 4 years off. Yeah. So 2050 might be the year.
Yeah, so the thing is, is it going to be a smooth exponential growth? Or is it just going to be
It's over the long term,
we develop the first AI, and then it takes over the universe and turns it into great.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, time will tell, right? Because you will know these breakthroughs. You'll be able to compare it to real life stuff. Give it a body, and then you just see it does the same thing.
You can't tell. Google is very, very, very good at convincing you that it has a human level of intelligence behind every single.
Yeah, I think the only time you can tell is probably like we said at the start, right? Put them in a meat body, right?
No, but that makes it harder. That makes it more of a trick.
Put them in a meat body and then release them into society, and then it's like, if it doesn't matter, how do you know you're not one already, right?
You don't know until you open up your head.
Yeah. It's like, as we have more and more accurate measuring instruments, because we're actually creating more and more accurate measuring machines as well, right? So that curve goes along with that. So as that curve goes along, you'll be able to know more and more accurately whether it's actually replicating what we're having in our meat bread.
Anyway,
come on, man. Yeah, no, it's a good chat. But,
I still don't think that you can judge it putting in a meat bread. I think it's it's a trick.
Yeah. You have to actually measure it to the actual particle level.
To the actual particle level.
Yeah.
Down the quark level.
Quark level. It is a particle, yeah.
Because basically evolution just uses whatever physics is available. So we've got to find out what.
All the way right down to the bottom.
And then to the Planck length. That's what we do.
Well below the Planck length.
No, the Planck length is the lowest.
Is that
point? Yeah.
Yeah, Planck length and the Planck time.
On the string theory stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently that's evidence that the universe is actually a simulation because it's in bits.
Don't we see in pixels?
Yeah, exactly. The Planck length is a pixel, right?
one pixel, pixel.
Yeah. But it's still an exciting time to be alive. So it's great to share all these thoughts and chats and discussions like that about this transhumanism meetup. So thanks a lot for coming, guys, and we're gonna call it quits here. See you later. Bye.
I'm gonna have